from you. For those, I think most of y'all know Jeffrey Whitespear, but if you don't, you're about to learn a lot about him, his personal life. He's going to tell us a little bit about his background, and then he's built this huge real estate empire where he owns four different businesses and he's running lots of different things and has lots of incredible people that he's being a leader for. And so it'll be really cool to learn about what he does, but more importantly, I task everyone each week to give us at least three ahas and things that we can integrate in our business right away. So you'll walk away with at least three things of how you can duplicate his success and implement them into your business to hopefully be able to golf as much as he does. Even half as much would be nice. So thank you, Jeff, for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. I look forward to it. She prepped me with some questions, and for whatever reason, my gut was just getting super deep or whatever. But I will try to make it fun and enjoyable, and hopefully you can leave with some nuggets. But like she was saying, I don't know about a real estate empire. I don't see that yet. I do see that in my future, but we're starting off. We do have a big sales team in all big markets in Texas, and then we have a hard money lending company that we turned as traditional buyers into investors and help people with fix and flip properties or buy and hold. We also invest into the deals with our borrowers sometimes. Sometimes our borrower will bring us a really good deal and we let them know this is how much it's going to be or whatever. And they don't have that yet. So we as a company invest in with them just to get them going. And then we have our revenue share organization that we've been building for over 10 years with people like Hui and Laura and wife and Mikey and Mickey and a lot of people. So we've been building that. I think we are in damn near almost every state. We're in Mexico, we're in Brazil, we're in Cuba, not Cuba, the other one down there. We're everywhere. So it's a big map of Team Legacy agents. And then we started a title company about, I would say almost 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half or so ago. And the idea for me is to create a legacy. That's why it's Team Legacy Organization. That's why it's Legacy Premier Title. That's why it's Legacy Preferred Lending. Just trying to create a legacy where I can leave to my kids and their kids something that I didn't get growing up. So just trying to create that for my family. So just building a legacy and glad everyone's shown up. I am an open book this morning. So let me know.
Okay, so you talk about legacy and how it's important to build a foundation for your kids because you potentially didn't have that. Kind of share with us because a lot of people see you, especially if they didn't know you even 10 years ago with all these companies. Where were you, or really who were you before
Yeah.
this business, and what was life before real estate?
Yeah, it was actually, again, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer because I'm super happy, but it was a rough childhood for me with my brother. My brother passed away. We lived in cars and different types of trailers and stuff like that. And I think I found some stability around probably 12 years old when I moved in with my grandmother. And then she raised me from like 12 to going into to college or whatever. She like made me go to church, which was great now looking back. Sundays we worked. We actually went to church on Saturdays. Seventh Day Adventist she is, or she was. And then on Sundays we would work the property and stuff like that. So I found stability in that. And then my didn't really have my mom was present, but my dad wasn't there. So my uncle actually lived on the property with us. And he was almost father figure-ish from 10 to 18. And he taught me was the most important lesson is if you're going to do something, do it right. And I still remember I mowed the field. It was like it took me forever to mow that field. And I honestly, apparently half-assed it. So when I got back, I said it's done. He went down there, he checked it out, and he's like, my goodness, this is terrible. If you're going to do something, you need to do it right. You need to mow it again. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I still remember that. So now, like with everything, I'm trying to like lock in and like really focus on whatever I'm doing from the smallest things. But yeah, and then like I was saying, just but tough growing up. My sister actually moved to Houston when I was about 16. And then when colleges start visiting your campus, if you remember in high school, they would say, if you go here, you can make 50 grand and be an engineer. If you go here, you can do this. You can make up to 100 grand if you do this. Like they try and recruit you. I didn't want to do any of that. And then one day my sister called me and said, I don't have anybody else to tell this to, but Jeff, I made $60,000 today. I double sided like $1 million deal. And I just wanted to tell you because if I tell anyone else, they're gonna think I'm bragging. But oh my goodness, I can't like I made it kind of thing. And I was like, oh my goodness, what are you doing? And she's like saying real estate. Like from high school, I knew I wanted to sell real estate and in Houston just because of that. So went to University of Texas at Tyler. And then I got my real estate license, started at Keller Williams in Tyler, Texas. My first year, I sold like 7 houses. They're all for sale by owners. I remember back then you didn't have PropStream and Batch Leads and RedX and all that kind of stuff. So I would go on Craigslist and go to for sale by owners and just call them. And then I remember like when I first got in the office, I had like in 3 or 4 months, I had 3 or 4 or 5 listings, and they wanted to interview me and tell the company, like at one of the meetings, how I'm doing so well. And I remember saying, "Oh man, I'm doing terrible. I only have like 3 or 4 listings. I've called thousands of people, but sure, I guess I'll tell you what I'm doing." It threw me for a loop. But anyway, so I knew like that market and that company really wasn't where I wanted to be. I got to start somewhere. Ended up selling 7 houses. Then I moved to Houston and I joined Renee Sorola's real estate team. And then he grind into me still stuff that I use today. And Mikey joined me as well, where I would just contacts lead to contracts. So we would dial 20 to 25 people a day. And those are contacts. You have to dial maybe over 100 to hit that. And we did that 5 days a week for 3 years. So by default, you're talking to 100 people a week, 500 a month, 6,000 a year. And he's like, if you do that and your close percentage is 1, you'll sell 60 houses. And I was like, oh, I can follow that. So 20 a day, 100 a week, 500 a month, 6,000. I screw up and only sell 1% of the people I talk to. I'm selling 60 homes. And that was my thing. That was so easy to me. So I just kept dialing stuff. But anyway, long answer, Amanda, but went to KW. I was there almost 8 years. And then I luckily, thank God, I found EXP about 10 years ago.
Hey Jeff, I have a question. So,
Yeah.
of all those things you talked about, and PS, kudos for dialing for dollars because I've never done that and it's not my thing, but I think it's cool to hear a success story in it because a lot of people think that's the end all be all. A lot of people hate it. There's so many people that have opinions about that, and I just love it when I hear you talk about it because it worked for you. And so it
Yeah.
really can work. You expand your beginnings and like you mentioned how you got to success. What can you pick one of those that was like the aha or the thing that kind of shifted you on the upward slide? If you had to pick one thing that was a pivotal moment out of those, what would it be?
Of the success, again, weird answer. My parents, and it's tough for you to relate to this, but I'll try. My parents did everything. My parents were actually really good at sales, and they built essentially a home-based business, but that home-based business was just bad, if you will. But they're actually really good at it. I just did everything they told me they were doing. They like basically everything opposite they're doing. But like I said, I think I mentioned it, and I'll mention it again. I think that time that it was like 100 degrees, it was in July. It took 4.5 hours to mow this field, and I wasn't having it. I didn't feel it, and I came back and said it's done. My uncle went back out there. He's like, dude, you missed so many patches. You didn't trim. You didn't do anything. If you're going to do something, like, boy, you need to do it right. Unfortunately, you need to mow the field again. And honestly, it sucked. I was out in basically in the field for 8 hours that Sunday. And then I remember, oh my goodness, okay, if I'm going to do something, I don't want to have to do it again. So I'm just going to do it right the first time. So I still remember that when people ask me that, for whatever reason, that memory pops up and it triggers me to, okay, that was probably it. And my uncle knows that as well. But so that's like I was saying, that kind of clicked. And ever since then, I think I was maybe seventh, eighth grade. I just looked at stuff different, like even with football or basketball or golf or tennis or whatever I was doing. I was like, all right, do this so you don't have to do it again. Let's knock it out, kind of thing.
What's cool is he's taught his kids that, like I'll hear Cadence go to Kinsey, the little one, and say, if you're going to do something, you got to do it right. Do it right the first time, or you're going to have to come back and do it again. And that's almost become part of their identity now. They're like, White Spears do what they say, and White Spears do the right thing, and White Spears do it right. And so it's really cool to see those lessons carried through the generations.
Yeah, it's a mantra we have. Obviously, if you're going to do something, do it right. And then white spears do what they say. And then also doing the easy stuff in life will make it hard, and doing the hard stuff in life will make it easy. So I just tell my kids that over and over and over and say, just compromise and do it. I know it's hard, but trust me, it's going to be easier. And then Cadence says it. So I don't know. Like I said, hopefully y'all can relate to that, but
So let's say someone's getting into real estate, or for me, I feel like it took 3 years to really take off and see that exponential growth. For you, talking about your story and for people who want to build, when did you really see your business take a turn for the better? Like, when did you see it go from consistently doing fine to huge exponential growth? What was that big shift?
That was probably one phone call, actually. Use that as your motivation. I called this guy and he answered the phone and he was saying that he is interested actually in buying. And it's actually one of Renee Sorola's listings and he's interested in buying it. And I said, okay. I was just making my calls. And this happened to be an acquisitions manager for a guy that was the acquisition manager for American Homes for Rent. His name was George. And after we closed that deal, I was like, okay, blah, blah, blah. And I was starting to do my follow-up calls. Hey, George, you bought that property. I think it was out in Hearthstone. You looking to buy any more? Just do my job, making my dials, see if you can help me out. He said, actually, I'm the acquisitions manager. I need to buy 500 houses before the end of the year. I was like, oh my goodness. And that a light bulb, like, oh my goodness. I'm going to continue to make my calls, but I'm really half of my day is going to be making those calls. The other half is just going to be searching for these deals for this guy because he said he'll buy as many as I can find them. And I remember going to Mike. I'm pretty sure Mike remembers. And I was like, dude, I talked to this guy today. I think he's legit. He actually closed on Renee's listing and he wants to buy, like he said, 500. So here's what he wants. And me and Mikey, I remember we would make our calls and then we would obviously show clients, but anytime we had, we would search for George. We call them George deals. We'd search for George deals a lot. And that's when really I started 20, 30 homes a year, 40, 50, and then 60, 70, 80. And I don't remember the last time I haven't sold personally over 100 homes a year since then because that light bulb went off about the investors and how you can target the investors. And if you find them a good deal, they're going to come back to you and want many more what you just found. And actually, it's not too difficult really because once you find their buy box, it's just about doing it, just searching for deals all day and sending them and underwriting them and got really good at that. And then people started, again, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. So I just grinded at it. And then people started coming to me saying, hey, I saw you sold like 300 homes this year for the same buyer. What are y'all doing? And I was like, oh, here's his buy box, blah, blah, blah. And I got an investor who wants to do this too. I'm like, okay, come on. So that blew up from there. And that's still what I focus on still today is mostly investor stuff.
Something that's cool about that client is you weren't like, oh, this is my client, and if I share him with someone, I'm going to miss out on business. So you were like, let me tell everyone how to source deals for this client so we can all make money together. And you really built a tribe around it. Even with your investment stuff now, like you've incorporated as many people who are interested, and together y'all make money rather than
Yeah. And that's true today. Anybody on this Zoom that's struggling or they're new, come to my office. Let me sit down and show you what I'm doing. You can do it too. Send them to me. I'll present them to the investors. And obviously, I'll take a little split. But if I can have, man, if I can have 50, 60, 70 agents just constantly looking for deals, and I'll take my little split 10, 20%, maybe that would be phenomenal for the client, for you, for me. So I'm always open to that stuff. But it's a little frustrating because I do that. I think me and we had a big meeting about how to find investor deals. How to create a buy box, what to do. And it was a phenomenal meeting. Everyone left on a high. Honestly, haven't seen one property anybody sent me from that meeting. Again, not saying good or bad. I'm just saying, come on. It's not a tough market. You're not doing it.
Sorry. So, Jeff, what is your advice to have somebody get into the habits and the routines that you just talked about? So I feel like you had an encounter that was God, undoubtedly. And everybody is going to say, if that doesn't happen to me, I don't have the opportunities that Jeff Whitespear had. But it sounds like your success, and what I'm hearing is like daily doing.
Yeah.
So can you give some advice, like things you do every day
Yeah.
that you do not compromise on, that I think have taken your chance encounter and turned it into success? But I think a lot of people could turn a lot of encounters into success. So.
Yeah. So I'll start when I was early on and really on the grind and stuff like that. I've leveraged a lot of that stuff out, but I still continue to do it. But when I was really in the weeds, just grinding every day for 6, 7, 8 years on this stuff, I would wake up. Recently, I've been doing the Bible and there's Bible plans, and then you can like choose, I don't know, Jesus for business or whatever. And it's 5 minutes and it gets you in the right mindset and then you go attack the day. But when I was in that grind session for almost 10 years, it was waking up and you would make calls from 7:30 to 9:30. This lead generation, those I would call FISBOs, expireds, terminated clients that I have gotten leads from that haven't contacted yet. And if you start calling people really after 9:30 or 10, they don't pick up. They're usually at work. And if you do finally get someone on the phone after 10 o'clock, they've already talked to 15 realtors that are also making calls, and there's nothing you can say to them that's going to change their mind. They're already pissed off at you. So I realized like 7:30 to 9:30 is a prime spot to make calls. And then after that, I would look for deals for George and any other. So probably until like noon, I'll grab lunch, and then I would always put any type of showings or listing appointments in the afternoon. So I don't miss that 4 hour window where I'm lead generating or looking for deals, which is lead generating to me. So in the afternoons, I take appointments, listing appointments and buyers. And then again, from about 4:30 to 6:30 is another dial session and lead generation time, because at 4:30 people start getting off work, they're starting to get in their cars, they're driving home, they just got home, stuff like that. And then honestly, when I didn't have the kids, when I got home, I wasn't even with Amanda at the time, I would look for deals again. Honestly, I would eat, look for deals, maybe go to the gym, play golf, but I'd look for deals at 10, 12 o'clock all the time. So that was about my day. It was lead generation, emails, and all the kind of BS stuff is before 12. And then after lunch is showings, and then lead generation again. And then when I got home, honestly, I would look for deals again.
How consistent were you? What would you say your, like, how many days a week did you do it? And if you had to rate your consistency, like out of 100% of how many days a week you wanted to do this, what do you think you hit?
It was every day.
Okay.
It was every day for a while, just because when these investors, when they actually started buying my deals that I would lock up, it's almost like an addiction. Like you're literally going to buy this deal every time I find it anywhere. And they're like, yes. And also I'm in Dallas. I'm also in San Antonio. I'm also in Austin. So it like, why wouldn't you, for me, when no kids, I think I was dating Amanda at the time. Like I had so much time, like I would just constantly do it. Eventually I got addicted to golf to where I would push myself 10, 12-hour days, Monday through Thursday, and I'll golf on Friday. And now I do that. I don't, there's really rarely a time, unless the weather is crap, where I'm not golfing on Friday. So I got in that routine. But at the beginning, I didn't miss it, I don't think.
He called it printing money because it was
Yeah,
like,
I would say that. It's like I was told Mikey, he knows. I was like, dude, we got this lottery ticket and it's a winner. We know it's a winner. All we got to do is sit there and scratch as much as we can to do it. And I've had that mentality. And Mikey, we would sit there and all day look at these deals.
okay, so Laura asked you what were your non-negotiables and daily habits when you were building. But now that you're
Oh, sorry. It was
so
contacts and yeah,
you
underwriting deals. Yeah.
absolutely answered that spot on. But now that you've built, and you're still building, we're always building and growing, but now that you're working on your business rather than in your business and you're in this leadership role, does your day and your non-negotiables and what you do and prioritize look a little bit different? How does a day look like now after you've gotten the grind mode
Yeah.
system?
Misconception. I'm always grinding all the time. People always text me, what do you do now with all these people? And I'm like, dude, I still work my ass off, honestly. But really, it's more on lately, it's on the health side and essentially focusing on my purpose, my relationship with God, running a kingdom-based business. And every opportunity I get, like these Zooms, I think did it last week. I've been very hesitant to share my faith and my story about it for a long time. And now I have this health coach that is, dude, you got to use that and you got to do it as much as you can. So every opportunity I get, I do it, and there's no shame. Like it used to feel awkward and shameful and almost guilty, and I would always kind of apologize for it. Now I'm just like, nope, this is who I am. This is what I do. It's just whatever. Now, like this morning was actually a perfect day. If you think about it, I woke up, I did my Bible plans. There's like 4 of them, took 7, 8, maybe 10 minutes. Woke up Kinsley, got her ready to go to school. Then Cadence goes to school, got her out the door, took her to school, came home. I did a little meditation, and then I did about a 2.5 mile run on the treadmill. I got off the treadmill, did a plunge. That was actually a perfect morning this morning, just because I knew, honestly, I have a hectic day today. Like there's appointments all day today. So I knew that. So I was like, man, I got to get this ball rolling the right way immediately. So I didn't want to, I think I was texting Mikey this morning. I was like, dude, I didn't do my workout last night. I'm gonna try to do it in the morning. And then one of the first texts I get is this morning from Mikey, question mark, did you get your workout in? And I was like, not yet, but thank you. I'm good. Like, he's like, because I got mine.
A little quiet this morning. He
I
was
ran,
a little
Mikey's
quiet.
like, I ran 7 miles, 5-minute pace. What are you doing? And I'm just like, dude. So
Everyone has a friend like that in their life. That's awesome.
that's like That's a perfect morning is starting it with like gratitude and some Bible plans and good. It's called the Bible app and you just pick plans and it just wakes up and it says, here are your plans. You just work through it. And then a little workout, then plunge. And then I just got jumped on this meeting. But the non-negotiables really are more purpose driven now, which actually fuels more of a grind. It's like you have an opportunity, a divine opportunity that God has given you is put you in front of thousands of people all the time. Like use that, don't waste that opportunity. So it's more, and then my kids, I got an 18-month-old son. So it's like more like daddy, father, husband working on myself to try and help more people mindset now, if that makes sense.
So this is gonna be a little bit of a leading question because I know you pretty well, but based on what you just said, if you could go back to the Jeff that was doing the grinding and the calling, and you could pull a couple of the things that you just said you do now. I know like saying you were hesitant about talking about your faith. I bet knowing you, you wish you would have been more bold earlier on that.
Yeah.
But what would you say to people that are in grind mode, all the lessons you've learned and the things you've incorporated into your habits in your daily life now, which I've heard a few things. I've heard faith, I've heard exercise, I've heard fun time like golf, and then
Yeah.
family stuff. Would you wish you could have put more of that in, or do you say when you're grinding and there's going to be that time later? What say you on those topics? Because I know a lot
Yeah.
of people struggle with that kind of like work-life balance when we're building, and could some of those things have actually helped you build better back then?
Yeah. So I think I guess a mistake was I was so money driven. I would tie all my success to how many checks I would get and how many closings I would have. And looking back, my gosh, that's so wrong. You should fix your relationship with God. You should fix yourself. You should be a little bit selfish as far as your me time and like you feel like you're being selfish because you're not with your family or your friends or you're not going out because you feel like you're at the gym. Like I would be, if I had to do it again, I'd be a little bit more selfish with my me time, if that makes sense. And then I would be like more purpose driven. I really didn't think of a purpose or a why until probably 8 years into it. I think it was like a KW training or something. It was like, all right, today we're going to build our why. And I was like, what the heck is that? If I would have known that sooner, I would be a little bit more motivated to grind and stuff like that. I remember my partner Renee, I was like, dude, how do you drive what did you drive, Mikey? What was that car?
Maserati.
He drove a bad A Maserati. And he was like, he was our boss, if you will. And I was like, dude, you made it. What are you doing here at 6:30 p.m. on a Friday making FISBO calls? And he's just because I have a Maserati. I have to. So he like found his little deal and he was saying when he was like, and that was one of his coaches' ideas. Coaches were like, that was one of his coaches' idea. The KW Maps coach was like, because he was struggling with the purpose, because he was good at what he does. He was a guy that worked at a bank and then he was doing the FISBO stuff, but then he'd make 10, 12 closings and then fall off again. And his coach told him, if money is your thing right now, you're young or whatever, buy a Maserati now. You got a $1,800 car payment you got to make. So you can't not. I know I went off on a tangent, but like more like purpose driven, actually find my why sooner and then pour into that. And then, like I said, a little bit more selfish me time. Actually take time for yourself in the mornings so you can have better Zoom at 10.
That's perfect. Okay, so I have one because I'm a book junkie, and I know on the third Tuesday of each month, this Zoom actually is book club where we all bring books and talk about what we're reading and how it impacts us. Jeff, I feel like you've caught in the book bug a little bit, and you read all kinds of different things. What are you currently reading?
Yes, I knew you were going to answer that. Thank you. My book bug was caught because really, Amanda, she reads a ton of books. And I want to add that to Laura's question. I wish I would have read more books sooner. That stuff challenges your mindset. It makes you think differently. Like you said, you may be full of shame and guilt and you think you're gloating. There's just different ways to think on that stuff. But right now, so on my rocks and runs, honestly, I try to zone out. So any fiction books, I like murder mysteries. I like hunting ones. I'm reading Long Hunters by, sounds strange, but it's called The Meat Eaters. The Meat Eaters has a cool series. They're called Campfire Stories, and they're real stories about survival and stuff like that. And in each book has 10 or 12 stories about survival in the wild, and the person that survived it tells it. And it has firewood in the background and thunderstorms, and it's a cool kind of escape all of a sudden you look down and you're 3 or 4 miles in, you don't even realize it. But that's what I do on my runs. But that murder mystery, I'll listen to a 48 hours episode podcast. I love that. I don't know what it is. I love that stuff. When I'm outside and moving, it just gets my mind off my heart rate and all that kind of stuff. But Amanda, basically every book Amanda reads, I try to read it. It could take me a few years to read it, but yeah, I got a lot. But the 5 second rule is cool. Again, I mentioned this before, the Bible, and I know I won't say it's a BS answer, but because it's so many stories, but the Bible and the plans, if you get the plans in the Bible app, it's like you're reading whole stories, but it's different. But the 5 second rule is cool. Like a bunch of campfire stories, the Blue Ocean Strategy, read that one. The Pursuit of Less, The Psychology of Money, John Maxwell. That's the newest one I've been reading. A man has been telling me to read it for years. I even said I've read it, but I didn't. I am actually reading it now. Like it's called Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. Essentially, that's about once you get over yourself and about how you sound, how you look. How's my hat look? But once you get over all that crap, you can actually start connecting with people because nobody even looks at that stuff and you don't know it. So you may say, oh, like when you're in the middle of a presentation, you mess up and then you say, oh man, I didn't mean to say that. Don't say that because nobody knows your presentation. So like little stuff like that, I don't even think about that stuff. And then raising good humans, it's like how to make my kids not a-holes to me. That's a cool one. Extreme ownership. I got a bunch. I don't know if you want just one, but anything that challenges your mindset on business, I like to learn about it and read about it if I'm in like a study mode. But I would say more than half the time I'm using books like as an escape, if you will, which is a good escape.
I love that because y'all are so different, like you and Amanda, like living in the same household. And a lot of people in this industry would probably not answer the question the way you just did because I don't ever hear anybody say, oh, yeah, I read nonfiction. That's not the primary answer you hear. But I think that, like you said, that's part of your downtime. And I think people need to
Yeah.
hear that because sometimes we just need to shift our mind off of all the grind and
Yeah.
reset, I think. So I think to me, that's a huge lesson right there is don't be ashamed for what you're listening to or reading if it's not
Yeah.
what you think everybody in the industry is doing.
No, yeah, I've learned everyone needs escapes and stuff like that, or niches or something to lean on. And I've just learned that those nonfiction books, I can really get into those.
Cool. You plow through those in a few days, and then it takes you 3 years to read an Amanda recommended read.
Yeah, I do. One of the cool ones, I was trying to think of it, but I couldn't. But you can go to your next question. I'll try to find it. It's Amanda, that book I was telling you to read, and I don't think you read it. Was about not the pursuit of less, but something like that.
Power of positivity.
No, I'll find it. But
So
anyway,
that you talked about one extreme ownership, it talks about how whatever situation you're in, it's either because of a decision you made, a decision you didn't make, or a boundary you didn't set. So it's like it's your fault regardless, which I really like. And then the 5 second rule is awesome. Mel's story is incredible, Mel Robbins. But overall, our brains are wired, our alligator dinosaur brains are wired to keep us safe. And when we make a decision to do something, we have 5 seconds to actually execute and start the movement of doing that. Or our brain will talk us into, oh, they might answer the phone, or they might tell us no, or don't walk on that stage, or don't say that. And so we've got 5 seconds from the time that we decided we're going to get out of bed and not push snooze to actually do it before our brain talks us out of it.
yeah, I found it. It is The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. It's a great book. The long story short, slow is fast, fast is slow. It's basically what the ruthless elimination of hurry. It's about all these inputs that you have into your brain all day and how to shut them out. And essentially, like when you slow down and actually take time to do anything, the compound effects of that make everything go faster. And then it's opposite. If you try to blow through this Zoom or blow through the hard money meeting I have at 11 and just trying to get through it because it just doesn't, the compounds effect of that, it slows down. People miss stuff. So that's a really good one. And it's audio. The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry is probably one of my favorite ones.
I need to read that. We'll put it on the list.
I did. You said you were going to read it, but you don't.
It's on the list. I've got a long list. Okay, so let's say we want to be Jeff Whitespeare when we grow up and we want to golf and travel and do all the things, right? What does that look like? If you could give us, we want to replicate your success. What are three things that we should actually do that we could implement into our business to get it? Tell us your secrets.
Put me on the spot here. Find a smoking hot wife, marry her, Mikey. No, really though, if you found like a spouse or something that drives you or motivates you or challenges you, or obviously men and women are so different. And if you can just get over that fact and stop arguing or find yourself in those moments, you're like, you're just wired differently than me. Thanks for your perspective. I respect it, blah, blah. And you grow together. I think that's huge. So even if your spouse is outside of real estate or something, just finding a good spouse to push you and challenge you is big. And then finding a niche like investors, or it could be builders, it could be buyers, sellers, or whatever. A lot of agents come into the business, I see them, we're adding like 30, 40 agents a month. All they do for the first like months is just learn how to do real estate. And they do all these classes and all these trainings and they set up their CRM and they do all this kind of stuff. And they do all that kind of stuff before they even make a freaking phone call. Or Mikey's shaking his head like, and he comes in, I don't know why I'm making any money. And I'm just like, dude, all you do is sit in those trainings. Like you actually have to do the work. So find a niche and stick to it. So it's easy to get distracted in real estate. So you can, because there's obviously, I just named them. There's investors, builders, buyers, sellers. Even if you want to just stick to buyers at first and just lead generate buyers, do a crazy amount of open houses, only call buyer leads, blah, 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 just find a niche and then grow from there would be, I think, a second thing. Let me think here. You said you wanted three. There's a bunch. I think, and again, it's a deep rooted answer, but finding a purpose or a why and using that to kind of power your motivation or even your consistency. Like it's really easy to be motivated every now and then, but I would say honestly, most days I don't wake up motivated, just being a little transparent there. I have to motivate myself. And then that motivation, it will turn into consistency and stuff like that. But because I have three kids and a wife and a golf habit and blah, 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 I like nice stuff. So I have to feel that. I know my girls, they're just like their mom. They're beautiful. They love Lululemon. They love all this kind of stuff. So like having that as your why and that driving you, it's really powerful. So like I said, the third one may be finding a why and really educating yourself on it, really deep dive into it and figure out why that's your why and then use that to power yourself. And then you said something about a secret. I get that question almost every panel or podcast or any presentation I'm doing. The person will say, "What's the secret?" And man, there's no secret. Like it's all out there. I'm an open book. It's just, I think the secret is just hard work and consistency. Like they're always looking for a magical pill that they can take or something. I'm like, no, dude, it's literally pick your phone up and just start dialing people. Who cares what they say? Every now and then you're going to get, Mikey, go ahead.
Do the work. That's what it is. That's the secret. You do the work.
That's no fun. Give me
I
something.
know, Alex. I always answer that. I'm like, I'm sorry, but it is. It's like, just do the work. Again, there's a lot to do. You can get distracted, but if you find a niche, find a purpose or a why to power that niche, and then you can just realize that there is no secret. Their secret is just to grind and work and make the calls. And if you just, even if you do that, you don't even have to do 20 contacts a day. Do 5. That compounding effect, 5 is 25, 25 is 100 to 125 a month, 100 to 125 a month is 15, 1,600 a year. 1% close rate is 15 closings. That's 2 closings a month, or that's 1.5 closings a month. That's pretty good. Just kind of think that, if you will.
So good at math, Jeff. I think most realtors aren't that good at math, so maybe that's the problem. But
Just like backward engineering it is
yeah, I
like,
know.
just makes to me, it makes sense to my brain.
But it's anything, but it doesn't, that's the other thing. Like, it doesn't have to be cold calling. Like,
Yeah.
whatever the thing is that you're going to do, just do it. And that's,
We had a team meeting yesterday, Mikey, and me and Mikey's thing is, dude, pick up the phone because that's just what we know. But like Sophia was on, I don't know if she's on the Zoom now. She hates that stuff. I said, okay, don't pick up the phone. Do a ton of open houses, do a ton of networking events, do a ton of social media videos, send out 10 messages a day on social. Like whatever you're doing, do a lot of that. You don't have to make the calls. And Tal runs her team like that. Go ahead, Mikey.
Sorry, man. Connections. That's what we told Sophia and the team. It's not about the calls or whatever. It's about the connections that you make every day, every week.
Yeah, and wherever that comes from, good for you. And just let me know so I can hold you accountable to that. Because when I first started my team, I only knew to call. So I would make every one of my agents call. And a lot of those agents didn't like doing it. So they wouldn't do it. And then we would have issues because their numbers were wrong. But I was honestly teaching them the wrong way. I should have been like, dude, what do you like to do? What's easy for you to do? I freaking love open houses. All right, dude, you're going to do 10 open houses a month. That's not that bad because I'm making 20 calls a day. You can't do 10 a month. But so now we built a team to where you tell me what you want to be held accountable for, and I can build around that and then hold you accountable to that. And if the contacts is one of them, whatever. But
Hey Jeff, I have a text question I received from somebody on the call. I know you've said you've worked with coaches, and it sounds like there's whys and hows that are probably most people's biggest thing is how do I figure out what to do and how do I figure out my why? So where coaching is concerned, give me a little bit of insight into like how you pick a good coach and like maybe I don't know, what are the rewards of you working with coaches? Like, how has that played out? So, how do
yeah,
you pick a good coach? And then what have you gotten out of working with coaches?
yeah, I would say pick a coach that's actually selling or have sold. There's so many coaches out there to try to sell you stuff on teaching you how to sell, and they're good at that, but they've never done it themselves. So I still use to this day, Sean Kokoska. Dude was at KW, I think his mom, Diana Kokoska, and they created like the KW Maps coaching program. He lives in this phenomenal house out in Lakeway in Austin. You can tell he knows what he's doing. So I was immediately attracted to that. And yeah, ends up he's sold 8,000 houses in his career. So I went with him, but it's just trying to answer your question, not reinvent the wheel. Everyone already knows what you want to know. Just, and even if you need to pay them to give you, that's fine. It's like same thing as college. You want to be a doctor? How much does that cost? How many years of that life are you going to do to be able to grab that salary really quick? That's going to be 6, 8, 10 years if you're lucky to be a doctor and then finally cash in on that salary. Doing that, and then the team. I was trying to get to the team thing and how that equates to college. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't want to join a team. I got to give up my split," and I'm just like, dude, it's like going to college. How much are you going to pay to go to college? If I can shave off the 3 to 5 year learning curve and just tell you what not to do right off the bat, don't you think that's valuable? And I'm not asking you to stay forever. Use me as a stepping stool and blow up and do it yourself kind of thing. I'll say find a coach that actually does it, is actually doing the work. I use Sean Kokoska, and honestly, there's those big coaches like Tom Ferry and stuff, and I go to those events, but I don't hire them personally. I think Sean is a great idea, a great coach. Look him up. He's at EXP, has a huge downline. Cool thing about Sean, not to plug him a bunch, but he does these group coaching. You can get 16 weeks of coaching with him for $400 or $500, and every week for the next 16 weeks, you'll have a coaching session with Sean. That's and it works for him because it's cheap for me, but it helps him because he has 50 people on there. So it's like a win-win, and he pours into you. So I've had him as a personal coach, and I've done probably 3 or 4 other of his 16-week coaches. And then honestly, that is in the cooker, Laura, on me and Amanda and Mikey, as far as coaching. We're working on that. So anyway, a little preview.
So I want to open this up. We've got 13 minutes left. Does anyone have a juicy question for Jeff? Give him something tough. If you could ask him anything.
I do.
Hey, Tanya.
Hello. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for sharing your story, rags to riches for sure, and sharing that your faith. I love that. Super bold. My question is I've heard that you were like this KV Core king, and I know we moved over to Bold Trail, and I've seen your how to generate leads through KV Core.
Yeah.
Do you still use KV Core? And if so, like what would be your top 3 strategies on generating leads through that?
Yeah, so we use Bold Trail just because it was easier to go from KV Core to Bold Trail because I have all of my things, and that which helps me answer your second part of the question, which is 3 things. The biggest thing is I have never liked any drip campaigns that are system generated. They're all crap to me. I don't think they're good at all. They're robotic. They say the same thing over and over. If you've already had a conversation with them and set a next appointment, it doesn't know that, and it says, hey, if you're looking for a house, would you buy it today? But you just had that conversation. So my biggest step for you, Tanya, is go in there and you can open up those campaigns. And let's say that they're already made for you. Now that's 48 steps. And those steps can be emails, texts, and calls, or even video message or whatever. They have like steps for you. Click on each one of those steps and just edit them and put your words into those steps, or your text or your video or your email, something like that. And then the second part is cleaning up the leads as far as utilizing the hashtags. You can tell the system to only send stuff to a certain amount of hashtags if they're hashtag something. So what we use are hashtags A, B, and C, buyers and sellers. So if it's an A seller, it's currently on the market or they're signing listing agreement. If it's a B seller, they are getting their property ready. They've interviewed you. You'll probably get it. So that's hashtag B seller. And then hashtag C seller is, hey, I'm not interested right now. Next spring, I'm definitely interested. That's a C seller. And then you have even D ones. They're like, hey, just don't call me. I'm not going to sell for a couple of years. Hashtag D seller, and send them a market report every 6 months. So I do that. Same thing with buyers on the buyer side. So once I fix those, and A, B, and C buyers the same. A buyers you're showing property to. B buyers are working on pre-qualification. C buyers is, hey, my credit sucks. I got to fix it up. I got to save some cash, whatever. D buyers, dude, I'm in a freaking 2-year lease. Don't call me, whatever. So utilize those, because when you're developing your campaigns and editing them, it'll say, who do you want to send this one to? And you can just say, send this to all hashtag C buyers. And it'll send. So it's fixing the pre-loaded crappy campaigns, I think, is a big one. And then utilizing the hashtags. And then even with it's again, in me, it's all contacts. It's pretty personable if you make it personable. Bold Trail they utilize bomb videos. So you can create a bunch of videos that are pre-recorded, have them send out to your personal contacts. The one thing that I don't like as well is when you put your people that you've already worked with on a auto drip campaign that sends them stuff about spring cleaning. I think that's crap. Maybe create a video. Hey, good to see you. The weather's warming up. How about that? Here's some spring cleaning tips for you from your realtor, and you name off a few, and then send that stuff. Would be a little bit better. So I could go on and on about that, but your personal contact, get them in there, get them on drip campaigns. But before you press start, edit the heck out of them. It seems, and here it is, it's tedious as crap, but it's very valuable, because when they get that authentic text or video, it's better.
I love that. Thank you. But when you're like specifically marketing and spending money in Bold Trail, I know there's a lot of tactics, but what have you learned to save you money, to not just throw money at the wind sort of thing?
Yeah. So the Google AdWords is great, but you need to have your website SEO optimized first. So that's a little bit tougher, like a kind of a higher education answer. But essentially the Google AdWords, a lot of people just throw money at it because they can set up their ads on Google. But what they don't know is those ads aren't going to work if they have two Google reviews and no Google address. So unless you, like I said, there's little back end things, but if you can do the Google AdWords to a website that has a Google map to it and at least like 25 Google reviews to it and stuff like that, and then you actually use those Google AdWords and use ChatGPT to change those every 30 days, I think that really helped me on my acquisition business. Legacy Capital Acquisitions is like a kind of a wholesale company we have. And I actually use Bold Trail AdWords to generate leads for distressed sellers. So that's a good one. And honestly, most leads are crap on internet leads, like Property Boost and stuff like that. But it does a couple things. Property Boost, it retains the seller when you can't sell their property. I think it actually ends up saving you money, because the seller, Mike, we talked about it yesterday. Why haven't you sold my house? Blah, blah, blah. What are you doing? Property Boost, you actually tie your seller's information into that. And you spend $60, $100 or $300 for the life of the listing. And every week they get a thing saying, Jeff is marketing the heck out of your property. He's gotten 1,000 views, 45 favorites, blah, blah, blah. And they get a update. You do get a lot of internet leads from Property Boost, but again, most of them are crap. Every now and then there's a good one. But I think leads are crap if your follow-up is crap. So if you have a good follow-up and good like campaigns, like I was saying, any lead can eventually be a client of yours. So that one, and then this is outside of Bold Trail, but it's called AdWorks, ADWERX. If you do AdWorks if you do a Property Boost to a certain property and then also do an AdWorks to a certain property, my goodness, for whatever that does to the SEO Google score of that property is really good. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what it's doing, but you have basically two different systems pushing the same property on Google, in addition to your Google AdWords, you can really market these properties and get a ton of leads on your listings. Just doing those three things. Difference between property boost and AdWorks. I know, long answer. AdWorks, you tie your seller's email into it, and it follows your seller around the internet and throws up their listing in front of them all the time. So they assume that you're just marketing the shit out of their house. I saw my house on Yahoo News. I saw my house on ESPN. Dude, I know, dude, I'm getting after it. But actually, that's AdWorks. It's just following them around the internet. Anyway, hope that answered.
Right.
Lots of nuggets. Okay, so you talked about you have an acquisitions company too. Like you're just mind blowing. Hui had an awesome question. Hui, if you want to ask Chef about the who's and how's and scaling.
Oh yeah, so my question is how do you scale and hire and open company so fast? You have title, wholesaling company open in just a short amount of time. So share with us some tip on hiring and scaling companies.
I've been using, I know, again, basic answers, but a lot of this stuff is pretty simple. I got a bunch of VAs. I used to have like in-house assistants and I would pay the heck out of them and they would be happy, but they'd be good at a couple things. You can actually divide that same person's salary by 4 and get 4 people doing 4 different things for you all day. On the marketing stuff and the TC and the back end stuff, all the stuff that's easy is just tedious. It's all day. They are cheap, and I do feel bad because they're like $3, $4, $5 an hour. I think my highest one is $7 an hour, but I give them bonuses on stuff. So I keep them happy. Like you can give them a $250 bonus and they'll send you a video of them tearing up for $250, but they actually made you like 10 grand because they got you a listing. So anyway, so VAs I think is good. But again, so before I opened up my title company, I talked to a bunch of title company owners. I talked to Andrew Franklin. I talked to my sister at Fidelity. I talked to Laura at Fidelity. I talked to another guy at BCHH. Like they're most of these people, especially at the top, are just collaborating with each other. I think I said this before, the people at the bottom are competing with each other all the time. If you can find the people that are up at the top and they're just an open book, like Andrew Franklin has 5 title offices and he's in a different downline than me in the same market area, and he does Zooms with me all the time. He just pours into me, and I'm just like, thank you. So I just like with my title thing, I talked to Andrew, I talked to Fidelity, I talked to some other people and just set it up. The easier route for someone specifically like you, we've already done the hard lifting. We've already spent 40, 50 grand to open it up. We already got looked into by the SEC and the TDI and all that kind of stuff. We've already done it. You can essentially, Amanda can maybe reach out on that. You can essentially buy equity into it and create your own too. So maybe find people that has already done it and just see if you can get in on it. But that was the whole deal when I was creating a legacy is if the legacy is dependent on me, that's not a legacy. And the legacy that I was building is selling 3, 4, 5, 600 homes a year. My kids can't do that. So I was thinking of other ways that I can get paid on a transaction. And it's, like I said, pretty simple thought process. There's title, there's lending, there's wholesale fee, there's commission. Technically, I could get paid 4 or 5 times on one deal. I think that is something that I can easily pass off to somebody. Again, not sure if that answered your question, but yeah, if you want in title or hard money lending or something like that, honestly, just come to me and let's figure something out.
Even with hard money lending, like the tollers were like the legends of
Yes.
that. And they're like, hey, let's meet, come to our happy hour, let's mastermind. So
Yeah, I started, thank you, at Legacy Preferred Lending. And I think one of the biggest lenders was King James Lending, James Toller. I asked him how he did it. He just told me everything, copy and pasted it. Same, met with Andrew. Andrew has Encore Acquisitions and Eagle Point Lending. He told me everything.
the answer to how is who.
Huh?
The answer to how is who. You need to find the who's.
Yeah, that's probably a book.
It is. Okay, my Jacksonville lifestyle is her name on the Zoom. She says she has a question.
Yeah. Just go ahead and unmute her.
Oh, let me see if you can. You need to unmute
Try
her.
that. Okay, sorry, it's Judy. I have a question. It's logistical. So I have about 5 to 7 investors that are always reaching out to me. And I don't know how to send them something like a piece of property or whatever and make sure that I know they're calling 100 realtors.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how to protect my position when I send them a listing. And if there's any, I keep trying to think about it in such a way, like maybe have them sign something and then send them the listing. How do you do to protect your position when you're providing them with properties they should buy?
I give them an extreme amount of value up front by creating a buy box for them specifically, and I help them do that. So I just tell them, but don't tell me you want to make money in real estate. Tell me exactly the house, the bedrooms. Is there a pool? Is there a big thing behind it? Is it school zones? Is it cap rate? Is the tax rate too high? And I really develop that buy box for them. And then they're essentially, and I've even logoed it and sent it to them, and they're using it and they see me all over it. But really, how, again, long answer, outworking those other agents is the best way to do it. But as far as logistically protecting yourself, on market is going to be the traditional buyer tenant rep. When you send them a deal, send them a buyer, I think it's a one-page buyer rep on that specific property, and say, here's all the analytics on it. Here's what I think it's going to go. And the second that you want to actually go take and put some eyes on it, just sign that buyer's rep and I'll meet you out there.
Yeah.
That's logistical. Off market, I tie it up in my own LLC.
I might not be quite ready for that. That's a good idea.
No, the LLC is $550. You can get an LLC because you're actually using their money to purchase the property.
Okay.
So
Because I do have an LLC. Okay. Thank
we
you.
have a property that's 100K. Judy will buy it directly from Hui for 100K and get it under contract. Deposit your $100 earnest money and option, so you're out $200. And then because you created their buy box, they're a buyer at 120. Assign your interest. Again, this is Texas. I'm not sure about all markets, but you assign your interest between you and Hui to that new person. And then you take that split as a marketing fee or whatever you want, that 20K fee. So you essentially, you get Hui, you connect him to the actual buyer, and then you take your fee in the middle and you're out a couple $100.
Now that's your hard money lender. Is that who we is?
It's just a wholesale, it's called a wholesale assignment deal.
Okay, because I need a good hard money lender too. I've got them here, but I would rather.
Yeah, or if you want to take down the property yourself, hard money lending. If you're in Florida.
Yeah, I'm in a great place for investors. Northeast.
Okay,
I'm in Jacksonville, but I cover a big area.
How about that? I just did a flip in Jacksonville, made $5,000 after 6 months, but hey, didn't lose money. But I am licensed to lend in Florida as well.
Okay, good. We might talk. Thank you.
Yeah.
I put Jeff's number in the chat if you wanted to text him later. This is awesome.
The address on that flip we did, it was in Jacksonville. That's crazy that you're there. Do you remember the address?
I don't know.
There's lots of everything in Jacksonville. I love it. You got 1920s houses and all kinds of stuff. Historic. It's a great place.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of inventory. I got the really dirt cheap house and then flipped it and it just didn't sell. Eventually I fire sold it and made $5,000, but yeah, anyway.
Time is money.
That would be a good class for beginners who have been doing real estate, but they don't know how to double close or do assignments or transactional funding or any of that fun stuff that you guys do. That would be really.
Yeah, a lot of people have Judy's responses. I don't know. I can't buy a property. You don't. Trust me, you don't. Like, you just tie it up. But yeah, we can do another training on that for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.